Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome all distinguished attendees to the 3S platform. 3S is the fastest growing platform in the Middle East in safety, sustainability, and security. 3S appreciates the trust from its clients to become leader in this field. Our aim is to elevate safety, sustainability, and security standards in the Middle East through innovative services led by global experts. 3S provides trusted and certified training led by experts to ensure workplace safety. 3S offers high-quality consulting led by academic and practical experts to improve safety standards. 3S provides guaranteed employment services with competent candidates for reputable organizations. And we're delighted to welcome the esteemed business development managers, Ian and Charlie from Irish for Business, and thank them for their valuable contribution. Irish is the world's largest WUSH organization with over 47,000 members. Irish for Business offers tailored safety solutions designed to meet the unique needs of each business. Leaders in workplace safety with over 70 years of experience in developing safety standards. These are the rules, and the mic now is with Mr. Ian.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. So Charlie and I will be taking you through the journey to OSH cultural maturity, talking about business assurance and the Irish sort of model of safety, etc. So bear with me while I get technology to work and get the slideshow up so we can get this to work. Let me just make sure we've got it working here. Let me just, it's always the way, try and get it to work. Let's hope I press that. Can you see the full screen there?
We can see it. It's just got the slides down the side.
It's got the slides down. It has, right. Okay, 1 second. It's just not wanting to share at the moment. So let me just get it. And let's try again. It's just apologies for this. Just lost every screen on my computer now. And there we go. Right, technology. Let's try and get this thing working. Right, here we go. I think I've got it sorted. I have. Here we go. Hopefully everyone can see that now. Yeah?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, we can see that. Yeah, thank you.
Good, 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 good. So, so we're going to take you through. Oh, hi, Ross. Oh.
I just wanted to say it was all okay, Ian, but it's good now. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. So, we're just going to take you through business assurance, the journey to OSH cultural maturity. So my name's Ian McIntosh. I'm the Senior Business Development Manager for the Irish for Business team. And alongside me today is Charlie Grayson, who's a Business Development Manager for IOSH and the Irish for Business team as well. So we're going to take you through this presentation, and at the end we'll take some questions. So if you have got any questions, rather than sort of do them throughout the presentation, if you can just jot them down, and we'll attempt to answer them as best we can at the end of the presentation. Right. So just to give you a little bit of sort of background to IOSH. So IOSH is the world's largest membership organization for the OSH professional. We have over 49,000 members in 130 countries. We're an enabler. We work with governments, organizations such as the ILO, the World Health Organization, the United Nations. So we're at the United Nations this week in New York, in on some ministerial meetings there. We advise, we help with policy and procedure for that. The focus of the organization is about basically to support our members to create workplaces which are safer and healthier. The other thing as well, we have a Royal Charter, which was awarded by Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. And basically it exists, as it says there, for the public good. So we are a charity first and foremost. Any work that IOSH for Business does, what we basically do is once we have paid our costs, we gift aid everything back to the charity to continue doing the work of the charitable objectives for IOSH as well. Right, let's move on. So just trying to think about OSH today, and especially since the pandemic, there's been that sort of increased scrutiny of OSH performance, sort of beyond just legislation. There's the perception of an organization, both by investors looking inwardly at the organization, customers that are looking to do business with you, their perception of, are you a good company, from how your workforce are treated, at the safety of your workforce as an outwardly portraying image. So perception is a huge thing, that rating, also how your competitors view you and how you're viewed against your competitors, that perception. It's about your brand reputation. You know, having a good OSH performance will enhance your brand reputation. It takes one small thing to just damage somebody's brand for good by a safety accident, where people will say, well, they weren't investing money into it, or the well-being of the staff wasn't looked after. It's also about being a force for good. So people are looking at OSH now saying, well, how can we make things better? Looking at, you know, mental well-being as well. And as it says there, it's the safety, health and well-being of not only your workforce, but also the supply chain that you guys work with as well. So contractors coming onto sites, or if you're in manufacturing where you have a supply chain coming into it, that all basically goes towards this. And as I say, again, OSH has never sort of been more important than it is now. This board level engagement, as soon as the pandemic happened, OSH professionals were looked at straight away by the board to say, what do we do? So that engagement with the board is there for the OSH professional now. So from a board level engagement, this is the best time to deal with them, to say, I have a strategy. You know, let's look at our cultural maturity. This is what I want to do. This is why we should do it, you know, about the perception, the brand reputation, you know, the whole world-class safety culture. And it's about driving that strategic change within your organization. So the IOSH model of safety there's various different models of safety that businesses can use, but there is a model of safety that IOSH have adopted that basically Charlie is going to take you through now.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Ian. Salam alaikum, everybody. I hope you've had a good day, and great to join you this evening. So yeah, Ian, I'll just mention when it's good to sort of swap over slides if that's all right. But yeah, I'd like to introduce the IOSH model of safety, and potentially IOSH model of safety is really almost like the best kept secret from IOSH. As Ian mentioned, there's multiple different models that are used that we're all sort of familiar with, but the IOSH's model of safety is the one recognised by obviously the Institution of Occupational Safety and Health. And we use the model really to assess and understand where an organisation is currently positioned on its OSH cultural maturity. And if you just move on to the next slide for me, Ian, thank you. Okay, so the model of safety itself actually has four distinct elements to it, really, and it's that in the red boxes at the top there. So really, in the early stages of awareness, we're in what we call the embryonic stage. So embryonic is the early awareness phases. Moving to active. And the embryonic and active both sit in what we call as really sort of the OSH compliance, right? Okay, but as IOSH as the sort of world leader in occupational safety and health, and really trying to sort of progress and develop world-class safety culture across the organizations that we support, our role is really focused on trying to help organizations move beyond compliance. Okay, and beyond compliance is where we move into proactive and integrated phases of the model. So really although kind of the model itself has got four defined different sections to it, from embryonic to active, proactive, and integrated, we actually sort of split those down again into OSH compliance and beyond compliance, and our focus is to progress beyond compliance. And we use this tool then, again, like it says there, to map out the journey to OSH maturity, to help assess and understand with the current position. But the key thing to remember when using the model is really this is a board level focus, okay? And what we have down the side is 6 indicators, just a snapshot of some of the indicators that we use when we work with the business assurance tool and when we do our business assurance certification, which Ian will progress onto. But you can see those levels, those indicators down the side is really things like the board level, so understanding sort of the management systems, behaviors, and really sort of through the model, what the aim is and what the goal and the purpose that it gives is the opportunity to understand where we are currently on the OSH journey, on the journey to OSH maturity, but also so we can understand our strengths and celebrate those strengths across the organization and replicate maybe across supply chains, etc. But also then to identify development areas. And when we talk about accelerating OSH cultural maturity, it's really about having that deeper understanding of where our organization sits on its cultural maturity journey. Then we can really identify and drill down and pinpoint those key areas that we can enhance and develop to have the most impact back in the organization. So a very brief introduction to the model of safety there, but we'll just go on to the next slide. Ian, if you won't mind just popping on to the next one for me. Thank you. So we know changing culture, achieving a world-class safety culture, it doesn't happen overnight. There's not a secret key to sort of making this happen. This is a continuous development program. This is about continuous improvement. But the best way and the way to make the most impact is understanding where we are right now. But of course, we all know that sort of businesses we're all at different stages of OSH maturity. And it's that journey that we're going along, that continuous journey of improvement. And it's worth just sort of recognizing at this point that as kind of maturity is developing and progressing, the mindset of our workforce and our employees and our colleagues change across that time. And we use this sort of simple diagram really just to sort of look at those different phases. So in the early stages of where an organization may be sort of looking to be purely at sort of workplace or legislative compliance, well, it's in these phases here where employees may be saying, well, actually, OSH isn't really my problem. It's really up to my managers to keep me safe. And I suppose as we sort of chat through these different sort of slides and themes, really, sort of I ask you really just to sort of reflect back on either your own organization or organizations that you've worked in before, and start to think actually sort of where did that organization sit? Where do we sit? Because if we start thinking about that now, or starting to have an appreciation of that now, then we're starting the journey to progress on. So in the early stages of compliance, it might be that actually people aren't taking responsibility, and they're sort of really sort of shifting that responsibility to managers to keep people safe. But of course, as we move more into a focus where we're implementing OSH management systems, employees are starting to recognise that good OSH is being practiced. And then we're starting to change the mindset again. And this time that they're thinking more about their own safety. And they're starting to expect to be informed about how they can obviously work safe and be as safe as they can. And when we move into the sort of the final stage, and we're talking about human factors and behaviours, and this is really sort of more in a OSH culturally mature organisation, they typically have where they have good OSH as a fundamental part of the strategy and everyday operation. And employees practice good OSH as part of their everyday working behaviours. Okay, and they're looking for individually sort of looking for issues that may harm others as well as themselves, and safety is a priority and part of the organisation's culture. I know one of my colleagues and clients that we work with at the moment sort of spoke about the intent, having OSH cultural maturity as an intent, or OSH as an intent as part of that organisation's strategy and the continual improvement. So it's just worth at this stage just reflecting back on your own organisations and companies you've worked for, just to think about those different mindsets. What were the colleagues like? What were the teams like that you engaged with in each of those different organisations? And does it help you to start to sort of position where that organisation may be placed? Forgive me, Ian, if you pop onto the next slide. And this slide asks that exact question. And it's really interesting. Ian and I are really in a privileged position to work with lots of organisations across the kingdom and globally. And we use this tool pretty much every day in almost every conversation. Most conversations start with they want to start to develop OSH awareness across the managers with our Managing Safely products, and we introduced this to start this model to start thinking of a broader scale of how we can have more impact and help companies move from OSH compliance to beyond compliance. But as we start to sort of speak with maybe executives and senior leaders in organisations, of course, through bravado, and of course I work with the best organisations. Forgive me, and just pop it back on one. Sorry. As we walk, forgive me, as we're working with sort of executive leaders, often the case is they'll say, "Of course, Charlie, of course, Ian, we're integrated. We're a world-class global multi-billion-pound organisation. Why would we not be integrated? We're integrated. At least, at the very minimum, we're proactive." And of course, you'll be familiar with things like the three lines of defence. And of course, the third line of defence, having external third-party assurance against your standards, okay? And when we deliver our business assurance certification and use the business assurance tool, what we're actually doing is bringing IOSH as an external third party into the organisation, really to rubber stamp and validate OSH cultural maturity. And it's when we start to delve a little bit deeper into what we have of, I think it's 150 50 standards, 32 elements of that actually we analyse when we talk about OSH cultural maturity. We start to then sort of piece together that actually maybe the organisation is more not sort of on the integrated or practice side, but more on maybe the active, and on some occasions even in the embryonic. But that's fine, because actually this is the start of the journey. And by understanding and pinpointing the development areas, we can make the biggest impact by sort of focusing our investment, our time, our resources in the right places to have the biggest impact back into the organisation. So just take a second to think about those different organisations and start to position them on the model of safety. And it's a really great conversation, and I hope this particular tool is useful. It's just a small sort of snapshot at it. But Ian, if you just move on to the next slide. So I've only really sort of briefly introduced it, but we're just going to look at three different indicators that we use on here. And first we will look with a theme of governance and leadership. Okay. So thinking about governance and leadership, let's think about sort of leadership behaviours. And of course, I think there's great words, great descriptive words on the sort of model that we used there. So in an embryonic, it's the culture is very much reactive. Okay, and it's interesting. I've worked with lots of organizations and heard major organizations still be in the sort of very much reactive and embryonic stages of this, because in this particular phase, we describe this really is where in an organization where operational and productivity performance takes precedence over OSH performance. Okay, OSH performance is maybe viewed as separate or additional to general performance in a role. You might see more sort of transactional leadership, or I suppose the key one on here is leaders respond or become active after an incident or after a failure, often looking maybe to apportion blame as opposed to understanding the actual cause and taking learning from it to be able to develop in the future. I was with an organization, a multinational global organization just the other day, and they were talking about how we can change the culture from, okay, we need to get the product out the door. We need to get the product out the door, but we need to do it in the safest manner, which was a message that was coming down from leadership. Actually, how can we change the culture and flip that round and say, actually, working safely, how do we get the product out the door to generate the most income? Can you see the distinct switch in the theme and the priority of OSH performance there? And of course, when we talk about leadership behaviors, this is really the most critical and the most important part and place to start across an organization. Yeah, because obviously leaders in an organization cast a shadow. Okay, and when we talk about cast a shadow, it's about leaders' values and beliefs and attitudes that shape the behaviors in which it in turn influence teams. And of course, this unconscious influence of managers is often known as the shadow of the leader. Yeah, and as it kind of suggests, it relates to the influence, for better or worse, that leader has on the organization. So if we can set the right OSH performance strategies and intent and ethos at those leadership levels, we can have the most impact across an organization. So the reactive part of leadership behaviors is really interesting. But of course, what we want to do is we want to move from embryonic to active, where we're looking at more of the enforcing behaviors. But actually, really where we want to be in that inspiring leadership behaviors, don't we? We want to be in that proactive, and even the ultimate goal of being integrated and authentic leadership. When we talk about inspiring, yeah, when we talk about inspiring leaders, that these leaders are a visible inspiration to the organization. They're acting with integrity and a genuine belief in the business value unlocked by great OSH performance. Yeah, they inspire the teams to drive OSH maturity by celebrating achievements regarding the key targets and milestones of the strategic plan. See, I suppose again in this you can reflect back to the organizations you work in. Is this kind of the culture that you're in at the moment, or actually maybe is it sort of back maybe more in the compliance phase? Is there room and growth to develop in this area? And it's these conversations that IOSH for Business is having all the time with organizations around the world, of how we can validate your OSH culture and make the most impact by helping you develop and accelerate the performance in there. I'll just mention very briefly on the sort of integrated, because of course integrated is where we want to be, and authentic leaders. But of course these are authentic leaders are in the workplace and they're openly discussing OSH issues with workers as routine. It's authentic and trusted by the team. They genuinely core input and feedback from the teams and act upon it. Yeah. So I think a key point of being integrated and authentic is strong, visible, felt leadership behaviors are evident through all layers of the organization, and the credible and the impactful. Yeah. Okay. So it's interesting to start reflecting back on your own organization. Whereabouts do you sit on here? Where's the starting point? Where's the development area? And where can we make the most impact? So Ian, if you just move on to the next slide for me. Thank you. And okay, so we've looked at sort of governance, and I mean, this is forgive me, very brief sort of look at an introduction to this. But of course, if we look now at systems and processes, okay, look at systems and processes, and we use the word locus of OSH responsibility on the indicator in this section. And really what we're talking about here is the accountability versus responsibility. Okay, so we're describing where accountability for all aspects of OSH management and performance is critically perceived to sit. Okay, so in all cases, we know that the book stops with the control in mind. For example, maybe your most executive leaders, the CEO, the MD. But of course, in some circumstances, line managers and supervisors can be accountable for poor OSH management. Okay. But if we look at words, obviously, I love the descriptive words on here. There's obviously ad hoc expertise in the embryonic section. So in the early stages of maturity, this is where we've got maybe a limited understanding of OSH risks, and the overriding belief in the organization is that ill health and workplace accidents are an inevitable cost of doing business. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. Yeah, OSH's role as our vision is to create a safe and healthy world of work for all. Okay, yeah, and we're all part of this, and yeah, but then sort of on an ad hoc basis, usually in organizations have maybe a full-time professional, or maybe it might be sort of a junior position is put in place. But really in these early stages, maybe that role is kind of ad hoc. It may be someone that's sort of brought in to look at sort of a certain sort of situation. But very much this is about sort of just basically working towards that compliance, and their main focus may be around sort of just reporting the metrics, and with limited integration into sort of the operational teams. As you move into the active, so still within the compliance, but into the active phases, there's more of a focus on the safety manager. So a safety manager has been appointed, yeah. And this really sort of recognises that for the organisation that OSH management is an important part, but yet a discrete function with sole responsibility for OSH performance. Okay, and there's a high dependency here on the OSH professional, for OSH decision making and management of improvement actions, particularly at a local level. But throughout this active stage, progress will be made to increase operational engagement and promote local ownership of OSH issues. But where we want to go is beyond compliance into proactive. And of course, the ultimate where responsibility is mainstreamed across all job roles, or even progressing onto the integrated, where actually now we're starting to look at it through our value chains as well, not only within our own organisation, but across into the value chains that we're working. And where good OSH practice and performance is valued and viewed as an essential element of doing business. Okay, if you link it back to the scrutiny that Ian mentioned at the start, the scrutiny that we're under from stakeholders, from clients, from global organizations, governments, yeah, insurers, the scrutiny that organizations are on, yeah, the importance of promoting OSH as a core component from end to end of the value chain is so significant, and really positions world-class OSH culture and world-class organizations. So I'll move on to the last example that we have here, and in this case we're really looking about the people and culture, and this is the people and culture is really the outcome of the work that we've done with governance and leadership, where we're setting the tone, we're setting the ethos across the organization. The systems and processes, where with making sure the right management information is being responded, is being collected and fed back up into the leadership teams to ensure the right decisions have been made. And of course, then the outcome of that is our OSH culture. Okay, is our people and culture. So again, really, actually, sort of in these phases, we can see from the embryonic, maybe the understanding of OSH risk is limited. But actually, where we want to get to is we want to move where sort of emerging risks are starting to be differentiated, where emerging risks are differentiated. And OSH risks are numerous, and they arise from diverse range of sources. Essentially, all workplaces have an element of risk to health, well-being, wealth, property, and of course, environment. And in simple terms, risk is a possibility of something bad happening, but not to be confused with hazard. To be confused with hazard. The hazard is the source of the potential risk. So in those, let's have a look at maybe sort of the active side. So in active, where all risks are probably perceived to be equal, there's starting to be a broader understanding of the sources of risk and the potential harm, the loss or impact to the organization, people, product and service, materials, equipment, reputation. Yeah, we've got maybe more of a systematic approach to quantifying the level of risk. Yeah, this is starting to emerge now, but maybe sort of not yet consistently applied. Okay, so therefore significant risk can be buried or maybe lost amongst other identified risks and not given appropriate attention and mitigation. Does this sound sort of familiar with any of the organizations that maybe you've worked for? A consideration in sort of the active element there is how these risks could impact the organization's strategic direction, reputation, financial stability, and this is probably limited to just sort of the board and senior director level. But if we can then move to the ultimate objective, moving to integrated, yeah, it's here where sort of OSH is clearly linked to return on investment and to the commercial indicators such as cost savings and new sources of revenue. Again, back to those levels of scrutiny from external clients and new sources of revenue, etc. How does this organization, how is our organization perceived back out to the world? In fact, how is our organization firstly perceived by our own staff? Yeah, do people want to work here? Do they spread the message that actually they go back into the families and say this is a great place to work, a place that kind of supports us and develops us and keeps us safe and helps us go home safe on an evening each day? Yeah. So just to sort of build onto that, maybe sort of into the integrated phase, the management approach for each of these categories is defined and understood, and where risk exceeds appetite, justified solutions are identified to ensure full accountability and confidence in future decision making. Yeah. So risk profile differentiates between operational and significant risks and drives focus on major risks. I don't know if you want to go on to the next one, Ian. Thank you. But there, do you want to go on, Ian? Sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Charlie. So Charlie's just gone through and described the model of safety. And what you have is those three pieces he's just described: governance and leadership, where you set the tone of an organization, the systems and the processes which enable that good governance, and then the people and the culture, the outcomes of that good governance. So what can OSH help you do with these pieces of work where you're looking at where you are? Well, what we can do is you can accelerate your OSH strategy through business assurance, which is something that OSH can help you on the journey through. So just to give you an idea of how the business assurance certification works, this is something that OSH offer to corporate clients, where in year one, you can see here there's what's called a baseline assessment, and you can have an OSH associate will come in and work with you guys with a piece of software we've got called the BAT, the Business Assurance Tool. which, as Charlie said earlier, is 150 questions across 32 different elements of your business. And in year one, you'll work with the associate to, here they will show you and direct you how to populate the BAT and to work with the BAT. And what you've got to do is sit and think to yourself, okay, business assurance certification, why? What's the purpose of doing it? Why should I be doing it? And what you've got to think about is what's your need? If you've got something, you're going back to your board to say, here is my strategy for OSH for the next 2-3 years for our organization. Now, what is the reason, why are you doing this? That's what they'll ask. And it's basically, what are you trying to achieve? Is it a world-class safety culture? Is it the perception? We've talked about the perception, how you're viewed both internally and externally. Is it to have that kudos over your direct competitors to say, well, we've got IOSH business assurance certification, you haven't? Is it to show your people that you're taking their health and safety really seriously and trying to improve on a day-to-day basis? Is it because you're putting different systems in places and you want to make sure that people are working with them and understanding the systems and the processes as your business evolves? So that's the why. That's why do it. What's the purpose behind it? Is to show a journey of continuous improvement. So in year one, you almost set your baseline to say, well, this is where we are. We start populating the business assurance tool. And then as you go into year two, it's how do you do this? And you've got two options here. So you've got a point where, as it says here, you've got self-assessment. You can work yourselves internally with the business assurance tool. You can populate it. There's a number of questions. You can populate it and put the evidence and upload the evidence into this business assurance tool. And if you're identifying areas of weakness that you think, oh, we need to do an awareness course on that, or we've got a group of managers that need to do some time management, whatever it is, then you can arrange that and do that yourself. What you also then have is an option if you think, well, we're not that confident to do that. IOSH has a number of approved providers. One being a company called Fusion, who have the Hero Code program. And so you can work with them as an accelerated partner program, where they will work with you to identify those areas of improvement. And they have specific programs that have been used with business assurance before to actually accelerate your program. So rather than sort of, doing it at your own pace, etc., they will help you along and use their experience to drive your thing, your program along, which will give you that, that's the how to do it. You can do it yourself, or you can use an accelerated partner program. And then at the end of it, you're always going to be asked by your board, if you're asking them for a load, an investment into a program, well, what do I get out of it? Why are we doing it? What's our return on investment? So what's the output of this? And you almost go back to the why. Why are you doing it? Well, we told you, Mr. Managing Director, that we were putting in new systems. We were going on a journey to train more people. We were going to improve our culture. We were going to look at our risk management. We're going to make sure that we attract the best talent into our business by being as safe as possible. We were going to reduce our injuries, etc. That's what the output will be, because what you will do is once you've put your evidence and you've put your information into the business assurance tool, and you've either done it yourself or you've worked with one of our approved partners, is you then submit that back to IOSH. And IOSH will look at the business assurance tool and they will validate the information and the evidence that you've put into it. And as it says here, we'll audit your OSH maturity for levels of improvement, and we will award a certification for it. And you will get a certification that is either a bronze, a silver, a gold, or a platinum level. And they align to the models of safety, the 4 boxes in the model of safety. And so what you will get is you will get a certificate, which is valid for 3 years. You can put the logo on your website. You can put the logo on your material, your marketing material. And you can, again, when you're responding to tenders, you can say to people, look, we have put our safety culture to the test. We've had it verified by the Institution of Occupational Safety and Health. They have verified that we have got a business assurance certification rating of silver. And what it does here, as you can see in the diagram, it's a circular process. It's an ever sort of ongoing circle of improvement. It is that thing of you continually improving. So you go back and you look at your business assurance tool again, because you may find that you'll put a new system in place, or that some technology will come up that will improve the safety within your organization. So you can, again, reassess it, upload the evidence of that. And again, after 3 years, you can have your business assurance certification reassessed. And with this, as I say, you get a certificate, you get a plaque, which you can display in your reception. But what you're outwardly showing is, you know, to the outside world and to your internal customers as well, that we have got faith in our OSH performance. We've sent it and had it verified by the Institution of Occupational Safety and Health, and it meets their criteria. So just to sort of very briefly sort of show you what the BAT looks like, the business assurance tool. So again, it's broken down. There's 150 questions in this. So this first piece, we're looking at governance and leadership. And it's basically looking about the direction and the context. So as you're populating and answering questions, it will start filling up. So it will say, well, you've gone past embryonic, you're into active, you're into proactive, you're integrated. You know, your ethical tone of how your governance and your leadership actually work with your organization. And it literally, there's different sections for each part of it. And as you can see here, it's like on here, governance and leadership is showing as a level 6. So that's sitting right sort of high up above. So that would be like a gold level. Same with level 7 would be a gold level within the people and culture and systems and processes. And what this business assurance tool does, it makes you sit back and reflect about what you're doing. It's 150 questions, it's 32 standards, and it gives visibility of your areas of strength, and it gives you the areas where there's improvement. And that's where you can either direct that improvement yourselves, or you can work with one of our approved partners to as the how to actually change this, and they can do it. As you can sort of, you know, go through, this will actively change as you're populating the BAT. This is like an active document, so it will change as you populate it. And we recommend about a 12-month program to actually populate this and put the evidence into this. It's not something that you should rush. As an organization, you should have this for a 12-month period to either, again, do it yourselves or work with a partner. And it's important to sort of highlight at the end, again, there is this validation process that comes with it, with the BAT submitted and the related evidence, which IOSH will then validate and award business assurance certification from it. And what it does, it's sort of, when you sort of measure health and safety, a lot of the time it's done through sort of lagging indicators. The opportunity to deliver leading indicators to your business is to sort of future-proof your business. You know, your organization would be a decision maker. Oh, sorry, I've just jumped up a slide, sorry. It will be a decision maker. It will let you understand where your OSH maturity is and where it is within the organization. Let me just go on to the next piece. And then, sorry, at the bottom here, again, it will show your commitment to world-class safety culture. It will give you that improved health and safety performance because there's a focus on it within the business. It will enable you to feed back to the board, the chief executive, the managers. It's a very visible report that they can see what's happening. You've got your improved reputation and status, your perception. There's the potential to even reduce your insurance premiums. You know, you get a business assurance certification, speak to your insurers, show them the work you've done. You can evidence it all. This could help reduce the insurance premiums for the business. And again, it just increases the effectiveness of your risk management. And from an IOSH point of view, how can we help you with that as well? again, if you're doing it yourself, there's a wide range of health and safety awareness courses. There are tailored courses that can be industry specific. And again, there are courses that are approved by IOSH that are delivered by, as I say, one of our training partners like Fusion. They will have courses that IOSH will approve so they meet a standard. And then again, we've got translation and localization, managing safely, working safely are in Arabic. So people can do them in Arabic if English isn't their first, their first choice language. Again, I know Fusion, when they're working, they have a far greater sort of translation piece of their work than IOSH do as well. So again, they can support in Arabic, they can support in different languages for your workforce. There's quite a migrant workforce in the kingdom, so they can support there as well. That's the end of our sort of journey to OSH cultural maturity and a very brief introduction to business assurance, which again, Charlie and I would be more than happy to discuss with any of you further. You can email us, you can scan this QR code here to download the IOSH for Business Solutions Guide. And also if you go onto the IOSH webpage, you will see contact details. If you go to IOSH for Business, you'll see the contact details for myself and for Charlie as well. Just to make you all aware, on the beginning of October, Charlie and I will be at the Intersec event in Riyadh. So if any of you are at the event in Riyadh, please do come and say hello. It'd be great to see you. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Ian, so much. This culture maturity model exceeded our expectation, and we hope it continued. And it's up to you right now if you want to open the question for some of our participants.
Yeah, go for it. I'm quite happy for Charlie or I to take questions. Anyone wants to stick a hand up, we can unmute you, or we stunned everyone into silence. Just also to make you aware, Majid, you are presenting Business Assurance Tool in the middle of September, I believe, in Riyadh. At the HSE 2024 event at the Sheraton, if I remember rightly?
Yeah, right.
Excellent. Is there any questions from anybody?
So we can end right now.
Excellent. Thank you very much to everybody. Shukran. And hopefully we will see you in Riyadh at Intersec. And again, any questions, please contact through 3S or go to the IOSH website and please contact us. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Take care.